Hi, welcome to Family Tabletop. I'm Lex, and this is Nate. Why did you laugh?
Because because I was wondering if I get to have a name this time.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I did not introduce you in the
Yeah,
last
that's okay.
video.
I can introduce myself, but you just have to give me a moment to do it. I'm
Sorry.
Nate. There we go. I'll interrupt.
Okay. And I have a question for you that I think was a rather interesting question. I'm very curious about the answer.
Okay.
What is the biggest mistake you've made as a GM, and how did you recover from it?
The biggest, man, that's okay. So that is a good question because I don't know if I'm going to be able to narrow it down to one. No, I mean it. Like there's okay. One of the big mistakes that I make often, I don't make it as much anymore because I learned don't make it, was trying to have people on YouTube fix my campaign, which, I know is ironic because if you're watching this, you're watching people talk about tabletop RPGs. And
Right.
there have been times where I was like, how do I do this thing, YouTube, and then I'd find some dungeon tuber and they're like, you just do this thing. And then I'm like, cool, I'll do that thing. And then the problem was I have some sort of ramshackle Frankenstein thing happening that doesn't work. Trying to build a campaign while I've been running it, huge mistake. Again, I told you it's going to be hard for me to narrow it down to one.
I think the trying to invent as you go along is a big one.
It is.
Because I can say as a player, unless you are perfect at doing that,
Right.
A perfect,
Right.
the players can tell you're like talking out of your butt, and then we lose trust in the game master.
Sure.
And then we check out, I think.
Have you
honestly.
experienced that?
I have.
Okay, yeah.
I have.
Okay. I suspected there were times that was occurring, and that was another thing where I'm going like, what's wrong? Like, what's going on? I did what they said to do. Like the people said roll random stuff and just make it up as you go. I played with people who were doing that. Now, granted, I didn't like it when I was playing with people who were doing that.
Right.
But, so I think if I was to try and narrow down the list of mistakes into just one, it was at some points I've had the thought that I'm good at this. That I know what I'm doing and that I'm a pretty good dungeon master, right? Pat on the back. I think this is such a niche hobby, and because of the nature of tabletop RPGs, because of how arbitrary they are, thinking you're good at the thing, that's probably the key problem. Ever getting to the point where you're like, I understand how to be a game master means you stop trying to learn new stuff. You stop trying to figure, so it's like, it's good to look at other game systems. It's good to look at like, okay, so what's with these D100 systems? Okay, what's with these D6 systems?
Right.
Which do I prefer? Let me play a bunch of different ones. I'm not going to take my players into a game now until I've played it first and experienced it and go, oh yeah, I hate that, or oh yeah, I love that. So I guess the big mistake that I've made is ever thinking I'm good at a hobby that is almost entirely arbitrary. I'm like, I still got to learn. I still got to learn some better ways to tell stories. I need to be reading books more, or listening to audiobooks, or finding the right music. Like it's still a journey. And anyone who's saying like, well, I've been doing this for 30 years or 20 years or whatever, that's like already it's the wrong foot in, because it's saying, I know how to do an arbitrary thing the best. It's like, we already declared there is no best way to do this.
Right.
You can no longer say, and so that's probably a mistake that I, as well as many other people who play tabletop RPGs, have made, thinking that there's a best way to do it,
And assuming that they know the best way to do it.
And then unfortunately, yes. And then unfortunately, the other side of it is to declare, since it's kind of true that there's no best way to do it, we declare there's no best way to do it, and that means you don't have to try anymore, right? And it's like it's a really weird niche hobby. It's like, it's not like War Games or Magic the Gathering where you can go, yes, I know which deck wins because it has a win rate, right?
Right.
I know which army is superior because like we can tell, like we can just, and there's no way to really list build in tabletop RPGs. I know that like Dungeon Dudes and stuff do it with Dungeons and Dragons characters and like which one of these classes or races is the best. But in terms of like tabletop RPGs, which one is best, which one works for the group best, it's like you always need to be exploring it and testing it out. That's why I'm so happy Landon's willing to keep reading these books and go through them, and we can keep discussing it because that helps me to keep my education going and keep talking about it and stuff.
I also think that's a very good life lesson. If you're going to stop growing if you think that you have mastered it all. And
right.
So anyway, thank you so much for joining us. This has been Family Tabletop. I'm Lex. This is Nate. And have a good
Sorry
night.
for my inane rambling and trying to straddle both sides of a very strange fence.
No, I think the information you're giving us is valuable, and I think I'm hoping that other people feel the same way. And if you don't, feel free to comment. We are all about opening up a conversation and having a dialogue about this. So
that is part of it as well. Recognizing that I still have much to learn, regardless of my efforts or time or patience or understanding of it, is probably the thing that actually keeps me growing, or I try to keep myself growing. So if you disagree or agree, comment down below. Let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
God bless you. Have a good day.